Okay, another bathroom to do here. Shower stall, Denshield, copper pan. That's how the copper pan goes on. So I'm gonna put some Denshield on there, the top, and then waterproof the whole thing. And then it's gonna be 3x6 subway tile with a border and a niche over here. So now I'm gonna do the just button this up here and then put the mud in, waterproof, and put the mud in. Now this is Denshield, so the only things you have to waterproof are the corners and the seams and the curb, and because Denshield has a waterproofing membrane on the surface. If this was Durock, then you waterproof the whole thing, coat the whole thing. Okay, so that is waterproofed. I'm gonna have to do the ceiling. We're gonna be in water up there, and corners and seams. This is a very simple shower. It's gonna be subway tile and a border tile. Okay, so this is the following day. The mat has had time to set up, and this is the height of the train, exactly the height of the tile, and it's all level. So now this bathroom is 3x6 subway tile. It's gonna have a niche here. There's a normal niche that's gonna go in here long ways, and then just a running bond or brick pattern all the way around with a glass border up at about that height there. So now I'm going to lay it out. Okay, I have my ledger board all the way around, and the reason I do this is because I want to waterproof the mud, because there's a copper pan underneath, and in the copper pans there are no weep holes. That's how they do it here a lot of times in New England, so it's just what you have to deal with. And the curb is all being waterproofed, and everything else is being waterproofed. So I'm going to start on the back wall, and then at the end of the day I'm going to waterproof this mud. Okay, so let's get started. So for this bathroom, I'm just using a 3x6 white subway tile, and most of these ceramic subway tiles have a soft bisque to them, and the bisque is the back of the tile, and the edges of the tile have automatic spaces on them most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. And what that means is you don't have to use a separate spacer to get the correct distance between the tiles. You can just butt them tight together, and the grout line will be automatically the right width. So it makes it a little bit easier, and it's a little bit quicker when you have this type of tile. Not all subway tiles are like this. Most of the subway tile, white subway tiles, or the the wall tile type subway tile are like this. But the thicker porcelain tiles, which are not actually wall tiles, but harder tiles, don't have the automatic spaces, and you will need to use a separate spacer. But when you're using this this kind of wall tile here, most of the time it's not necessary. So anyway, just using a polymer modified white thinset. You could use gray if you want, but most of the time just use white thinset. It seems to be cleaner and and I just like it better. It's a little more money when you use white as opposed to gray thin set, but I find it worthwhile. So anyway, this is the tile that I'm using in this bathroom. Once you got a few rows in up, um, I've got about 6 rows here. I always stop. I clean everything off and I check to make sure that I'm still perfectly level. And if I'm not perfectly level, I will make the adjustments that I need to make to be perfectly level. And this can happen with subway tiles. Whatever reason, you can deviate from a level, even though my ledger board at the bottom is perfectly level, because I checked it and I made sure it was level. Sometimes it can run off for whatever reason, so you just want to not assume that that your lines are going to be always perfectly level from top to bottom. You want to stop and check. And sometimes with these subway tiles, if you're not careful, you can get a bow in the middle of the wall that dips down and then comes back up again from one side to the other. So you just want to keep an eye on it and make sure that you're staying perfectly level, and make whatever adjustments you need to make to keep it that way. So once you've made any adjustments you need to make, then you just continue on and just spread some more thinset and go up a bunch more rows and keep installing your tile. Now I have a couple of reference lines there on the wall that I'm just going up to the lines with the thinset, and that is so I know where to start each row of tile, because every other row is going to be on one of those lines, and then the other row is going to be on the opposite line, so that you keep the running bond and the tiles halfway, a joint that's half running bond. And you can do it another way, but the reference line sometimes makes it easy, especially with the smaller tiles. When you've got bigger tiles, you can probably forego the lines, and use a level or whatever. But when you've got a smaller tile, sometimes the reference lines just make it go quicker. Okay, so I'm not sure whether she wants the glass border at this height or one more row up. So I'm going to stop it here. Now I'm going to work on this wall, and then I'm going to cut this cabin over here. Okay, so I'm starting this wall. Someone knows. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to pre-cut these pieces here. And like that. And that's going to continue on along there. So this goes and then that'll be that little piece over there to make it look like it's folded. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So when you're spreading your thin set on the wall, if you want to make it easier on yourself, don't try and get your thinset spread evenly as you're putting it on the wall. Just get some thinset on the wall, just get some good coverage of thinset on the wall, and spread it out. Don't worry about getting nice even lines. See, I'm just getting thinset on the wall. Once you've got the part of the wall that you want covered with thinset, and you've got enough coverage of thinset on the wall, then you go back and you make everything all even. See how I just got thinset on the wall. Now I've got it all spread, and I'm just gonna go back and make it all even now. See, I'm just working on the bottom, working on the side, and once I do that, I'm just gonna go and just make all nice even lines afterwards. That way you're not struggling trying to get the thinset all even. Just get on the wall, and then once you get on the wall, then just rake it right out, and that'll make life a little bit easier that way. Okay, so I figured out where I'm going to put this noble niche here. It's going in sideways. So this line here is the dimension, outside dimension of the noble niche. This line here is the inside dimension, so where the tile's actually going to go. And I'm going to have that line up with this tile here, because I want to try and keep it as close to the center as possible. And this one here, this line here, is the outside of the noble niche, and the inside will fall in between these tiles here. So it'll be alright. Right here, right in here somewhere. Can't make it fall exactly on the lines. And because this dimension from here to here is not exactly full tiles, it's a little bit less than full tiles in here, so I would have a sliver up here if I were to try and get it on the exactly on the grout line. So I'm putting it so it's going to be in the middle of a tile. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. Okay, I'm going to change the blade, cut that out. I'm going to cut that stud out of the wall there so I can fit in my noble niche. And the reason I can do this is because this is a partition wall. It's not a load-bearing wall. So, it's not gonna affect the structure if I cut this piece of stud out. If this were a load-bearing wall, and then you want to really think hard about cutting out a piece of stud. So that's the reason I can cut this piece of stud out of here without any problems. That alkali resistant fiberglass tape around it. Now I'm gonna cut it with thinset. If anyone's interested and you want to see the whole process of how I actually installed this noble niche, I have another video that describes the whole process for this very niche. I just didn't want to repeat it again on this video. So if you're interested, go check it out, and I take you through the whole thing step by step. Okay, ready for tile. So that wood brace you see inside the noble niche there, that is simply there so that when I get to the top part of the niche where I have to go across and there's no tile under it, that will brace the tile from sliding down, and it's just temporary, obviously. And once the thinset sets up a little bit, then it can be removed. But if that brace is not there, the problem is that the tile just keeps on sliding down, and you have to keep on readjusting this way. You don't have to worry about it. It's just in there by pressure. There's no screws in it at all. So that'll be removed once I get the tile across the top and it has set up. Okay, so that's the niche, and then there's going to be glass in the back here, and then there's going to be bullnose all around here like this. Okay, now I'll waterproof this floor. Okay, so that's waterproofed. Now when I come back, I'll give it another coat, 2 coats to make it completely waterproof, and that's the tile. Okay, so I'm pulling this glass border up here. This is glass tile. And I'm going to be using a high polymer content thinset, which is this stuff here. It's for glass tile. When you're spreading the thinset for the glass tile, you want to make sure that you use the appropriate size nut trowel. Now that's really going to depend on the thickness and size of the tile. But generally, the thinner the tile, the smaller the trowel you want to use to a certain point, because you still have to have enough thinset under the tile. You also want to make sure that the tile is set into the thinset. Now a lot of guys will use rubber floats to beat the tile into the thinset, and I will sometimes do that, but a lot of times I will use a piece of 2x4 or a piece of wood of some kind and just tap it into place by hitting the block of wood and tapping the tile into place. And the reason I use the block of wood is because sometimes the rubber float will grab the tile and twist it, whereas the block of wood with the hard surface will not do that. It'll just beat the tile into place without actually twisting it. So you're just going to have to try and see which method works best for you. But generally, for small mosaic tiles, I like to use a piece of wood rather than the rubber float. Okay, so I'm going to do the ceiling, and I got a board up there so that I can butt the tile right up against it. And I'll take that off and put the wool nose on. But I can't start in the middle, because if I start in the middle, I'm going to end up with a sliver on either side. So what I'm going to do is going to move it over half a tile. And what I mean by half a tile is this is a half a tile, half the distance from here to here. So it's going to be moved over by that much, so that it'll be the same piece on either side, but it won't be it'll be like opposite. You'll see, it's hard to explain, but that's what I'm going to do. Just a rough cut for now. Let's see how it goes. Okay, just a little bit more. That's good. Okay, so that's the ceiling. I'm going to take that board off and put the bull nose on. And that's the ceiling. Hold on. Okay, so I'll put the ceiling. You want tilting it that way. And you want it plumb this way. So that's that. Very slightly tilted into there and level that way. Okay, so that's the shower stall. All finished, all done. Now I'm going to move on to the bathroom floor.